I guess recording gets started. Yes, I think recording. Yeah, recording has started. So welcome, Sachin. And this session I scheduled because I wanted to take a mock interview. Also, I wanted to like share this with on YouTube so other people also can benefit for this session. That I will keep it simple for half an hour. I'll try to take your like basic interview. Okay. So let us start with the basics. So tell me one thing. In React right now, everybody is using hooks, correct? So why people are using hooks? Why not the class-based component and all the old one? What is the advantage of using hooks?
So basically, the React is divided into two components. Previously, we are using class-based component, but most
Hmm.
of the users are now moved to function-based component.
Hmm.
Class-based component was basically intact with so many features like states and life cycle method. But these are
Hmm.
the features that
Hmm.
lacks in the function-based component.
Hmm.
But function still people prefer function-based component because its syntax is little bit easy
Hmm.
and it's more like a open source than previous class-based components. So overcome those demerits, we
Hmm.
have many options to introduce. Like something like if we don't have a feature in browser, we add adds on. Simply
Hmm.
like that in function-based component to overcome
Hmm.
the demerits of class-based component,
Hmm.
we insert hooks. That is the main
Okay.
purpose.
But in so if you talk about hooks also has some life cycle method, correct?
Yes, sir.
What are those?
Sir, use effect we use for that.
Okay. So we can't say that hooks doesn't have your like life cycle. Yeah, but in class-based component, we have many life cycle methods which you have to handle separately. In hooks, I guess we have combined. You know, the use of it is combining different kind of we can say events. So what are those? Like when use of it is called? How many times it is called in a React app when you're using hooks?
First of all, sir, we have to import that hook from the React, or maybe we have
Hmm.
outside the React that is not installed. That we have to first of all install it, and after
Hmm.
that we will call. And according to that, if we are using a use state, first of all we have to apply its syntax like
Hmm.
that we use in the use state.
No, no,
And if
I'm not asking that. I'm asking that when you say use of it, correct?
yes,
So
sir.
use of it will be called like at a particular time when the component is loaded.
Yes, sir.
So what are those like times when is it called only once when the component is loaded or the use of it is called multiple times? How does it work, use of it?
So use effect basically a function. There we have to introduce the function that we are going to call. At any
Hmm.
time the state is render, it will be
Okay.
called. And that's a big demerit that after any changes, it will be called. It will be called, if we console log, it will be called. To
So
overcome
so
demerit,
wait. So you're saying that whenever a state changes, use of it is also called.
yes, sir.
Why?
Because sir, it's a pre-built priority that if we don't give its parameter
Mhm.
argument that will automatically render on any changes.
Okay.
And if we
Okay.
have to specific, then we have to apply a dependency there.
Okay, so you're saying use of it as multiple role, like it is called initially also, then it is also called on the state changes also, and also some like parameter you are passing that also changes, then it is also called. So as far I know, you can go back and do more research on this thing. Use of it is called three times, and it is like it is a replacement of constructor. And one more thing is your component should update. And one more thing I don't remember because I've not worked much on hooks, but there's one more thing. So hooks is a single method which replaces the three methods in the class-based component. So you don't have to call the constructor, you don't have to call the component should update. That condition also you can handle using hooks, like sorry, the use of it method. And there's one more thing. I'm not remembering the one more thing, but there's three things. So no issues. You can go back and refer that thing. So fine, that is okay. And what is the difference between a pure functional component and a functional component which has hooks? What is the difference between both?
Uh, Pure function-based function component means that doesn't affect the outside states. That is
Okay.
related to only itself. That don't have strings attached to other things. That is simply we can say a local state that is not related to another.
No.
And
So are you saying that pure functional component also has a state?
yes, sir.
Okay, it also has a state, but it's different from what we use as use state, or the same thing or different? That use state is also a state. Here in functional component, how do we refer the state? Like how do you refer the state? In the UI, suppose you have to render something, correct? So
Yes,
how
sir.
that state is managed in a functional component, pure functional, we're not talking about hooks and all those things. Normal functional component, pure functional component.
So state basically it has two properties. First
Hmm.
it is states, then second one is function that is going to assign its value to the state.
Okay,
And, and in
okay, okay, fine, fine, not issue, not issue. I'm just asking this question. Okay, now tell me one thing. Let's suppose let's suppose we're talking about a pure functional component. Forget about hooks for now. If we're talking about pure functional component and we pass props from outside, is it possible to change props inside that function?
no, sir,
No. Okay, but is it possible to do change the props inside the hooks one?
inside the hooks. So I don't know, sir.
Okay. So basically what I'm asking is props is coming from outside to the component, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now I want to update the value of props. What is the technique through which I update the value of the props? So that my component will re-render because the props is coming from outside. Unless until I change the value of props, it will not re-render. What is that? How can I change the value of props from which is coming from outside? Because like I'm giving you a hint, the props is coming from parent to the child.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now think something
Sir,
coming from outside to the component, है ना? And we need to update those values. What is the technique people do?
sir,
Generally use, yeah.
we use a callback.
Correct. We use callback because we can pass this callback method in the as a props also, and we can call that callback method which will invoke the method which is present in the parent. And in the parent,
Yes,
that props will be some state value or whatever value that they can change, and then we will receive the updated value as a props in the child component. Okay, that is right. Okay, what is the use of ref in any component? Ref.
sir, ref is also, sir, a type of hook use ref. Basically, we use to I use, sir, once time to count the number of render. It's simply like a state, but it doesn't, sir. It's change itself after calling.
Okay, okay.
Or ref is basically we can use to identify the
Hmm.
particular div or
No,
elements
so,
that.
okay, okay. So my question is that we are already passing, let's suppose props. Now we are passing ref to the child component. So what is the use case? What is the scenario where we use this thing? उसका purpose क्या है? What is the purpose of ref? Like I understand you're during your explanation, but can you give you an example? That okay, in this case, the passing the props will not work, so I have to pass ref.
Sir, I forgot, sir.
Okay, okay, no problem, no problem. Okay, fine. And in React, how do you call the APIs?
Sir, we call API, sir, there is two method. Pre-build method that is fetch,
Okay,
and there is another we have to install that is Axios.
okay, okay. So what is the difference between both?
Uh, fetch is basically it is pre-built. We don't need to install any anything.
Library. Okay. Okay. And XIS, we have to install the library.
Yes, sir.
But what is the advantage of using XIS? There has to be some reason no? Why we are using XIS, not
Sir,
fetch.
sir, we can use async and await there in ReactJs.
Async await that we can also use in fetch also. It's not like because that is also promise and XIS also tells promise. I don't think that is the right difference. Okay, no issues, no issues. Uh, okay, and like when you call the APIs, what are different kind of request? Like what are different kind of API request?
Sir,
Like
this
yeah,
get, sir, post,
get correct.
post,
Okay, get post and what?
delete,
Hmm. Put
and
put is also
put.
there.
Yes, sir.
So what are the difference between all these things?
Basically, we have to send the data. We'll use get. We have to sorry. Yeah, we have to get the data. We'll use get, and to
Hmm.
send data, we'll use the method post, and delete method to change delete the previous data.
Okay, okay. No, tell me one thing. Why React has become like so popular? Why like companies are preferring React? What is the that is there in it? What is React doing so good?
Sir, React is basically just to ease the sir load. It is just a pre-built library. Sir, we have to just not write every code. We can also use different library and just install it, and it will take less coding
Hmm.
and will be very much faster than previous coding.
Okay. So, no, my question is that whatever React is doing, we can do same thing using plain JavaScript. We can write, let's suppose we are calling API in React, we can call API through plain JavaScript. Let's suppose we have to update the DOM. Okay, we are updating DOM using React. We can use that using plain JavaScript also. But what is the advantage React is giving? Why developers prefer React, not plain JavaScript? Why?
Mm, so it's like we don't need to create everything syntax for that. It's simply like we have pre-built library there. We have to just write the code, and it
Mhm.
will be simply if we change anything, it will be dynamically show on the render on the screen.
Okay. Okay. So can I ask you a different question in a different way? Can I manipulate the real DOM objects in React directly? Using React, can I manipulate or can I access the real DOM object directly? The physical DOM object directly.
So in React, it's a virtual DOM,
Okay.
and
Okay.
here we manipulate everything, but
Let's suppose I will give you an example. Suppose I want to access a text box. Okay, and I want to change the value. Now, to access the text box directly using JavaScript, let's suppose the text box ID is 1234 or whatever text box one or text box 1234. How can you access that text box directly using in plain JavaScript? What is the syntax in plain JavaScript? How do you do that? In plain
sir,
JavaScript, suppose I have to access a element by ID. What is the syntax for that in plain JavaScript?
we will apply the value and on change method to
No,
change
no,
the.
but first you have to access the value. So there's a
Yes, sir.
syntax. Try to remember the syntax. I'm giving you a hint. Element ID. Are you able to recall?
It's a get element by ID.
Correct. Get element by ID. So document dot get element by ID. You will call document is the real DOM. Okay. Document means the real DOM. You will call get element by ID. Okay. And you can access the data and you can just you can update the state that okay this text box is one. Put 5 value here. But in React we are not doing that. In React we are doing something different. What is different? What is let's
So
suppose I call it. You tell me.
it just minimize the coding that we are using that in HTML. It just work as a JSX code.
Mhm.
Simply we have to lighten the code. No need to that
Yeah.
code that will be visible on the HTML pages.
Okay. No, I will tell you the like more because you might not have work on plain JavaScript too much. So when you work on the plain JavaScript or jQuery, you will see what happens. That let's suppose we have a div tag, then we have some inside div we have a paragraph or something rows and table, and we have to manipulate all those things. We have to understand the hierarchy. Okay, this is my table, this is my div. Inside my div we have the table. In the table we have table row. In table row we have table cell. So we have to understand the hierarchy, and when we are going to access anything we have to understand that hierarchy. Like we have to go and search for the DOM elements, है ना? Okay, document dot create element by id, but not every element will have id. Then we have to say, okay, go to this element, find its child. Okay, find the child of the child. This is how it happens in the previously JavaScript. Okay, it was very complex, going and finding by what I can say by without the IDs. And how do we do? Okay, you have to rely on the, you have to traverse the real DOM. Means you have to go to the, let's suppose the root of the real DOM is what? The root of real DOM is your HTML tag, correct? Then you go to HTML tag, then you go to body, then you go to different things. Yeah? So this is like a tree structure. This is the real DOM. But in React, we don't have to worry about that thing, because React says, okay, don't worry about anything. Whatever you want to render at component level, just tell me. So we are dealing with not the entire DOM at once, but one component at one time. Are you getting my point? So one component one time is easy, no? You know, okay, this I have to just work on this section. You forgot about the other section. Okay, let's suppose in one page you have one menu is there, somewhere you have a form. So let's suppose there is a form component. You do but forgot about other thing. Form, you know, that's it. And you're not directly dealing with the DOM elements. You are just saying, okay, I want to render this thing. I want to update this values. I want to thus you can return any HTML from the component. Correct. Today it's a form. Tomorrow it can be after some time it can be a blank form, or it can be a other thing label. How? Because we can control what to render using the that render method. Okay, or we can pass, or in a function component we return what to render. So we are controlling what to render. It's very easy to control instead of dealing with, okay, document dot get element id or document dot get element by name, maintaining all those complex things. Forget about that thing. That complexity will be taken care by React. Okay, that is the main thing. That is, we don't have to worry about that. Is managing and manipulating the real DOM. That React will take care. We have to just return at a component level what to render. That's it. Okay, that is how it's work. Now, what is a JSX thing? What is a JSX?
JSX, sir, is a combination of, sir, HTML and JavaScript.
Okay, why it is used in React?
Mm, Sir, reason, sir, I can't tell.
So, what is the use of JSX? Why we use JSX in React? What is the use? Have you used JSX anywhere in code?
Sir, div and H1 tag, all those are JSX code.
Correct. Why you use those tags?
Just to implement the HTML structure, and
Correct.
using JavaScript language, we use JSX.
Yeah. So basically, JSX is used to you return JSX back. Okay. So JSX. Okay. If I talk from JavaScript point of view, only JavaScript point of view, then tell me one thing. What I'm saying. What is JSX? Is it's an array, or it's a object type? What is a JSX from JavaScript point of view, not from React point of view? What is the type of a JSX? It is a HTML. What is the type of a JSX from JavaScript language point of view?
So in JavaScript point of view, everything is an object.
Not everything is object. Let's suppose primitive types like numbers and booleans, and those are not actually, to be honest, primitive. So we in JavaScript we have primitives or non-primitives also, object type. So
Non-primitive type is object.
yeah, so in JSX would be what? It should be what? What do you think? It should be what? Is any other type is there for JS? Separate type is there in JavaScript? Does JavaScript know what is the type of JSX? Is a new type introduced in JavaScript? Let's suppose React is a new framework. So does JavaScript also introduce a new type? Okay, JSX is a type because we can assign JSX to a variable, correct?
Yes, sir.
So JSX is like a data type only, correct? We have data type, different array is a type, object is a type. We have a function and all those things. So what is the type of JSX? What is the data type of a JSX? Okay, no issues. We can move forward. Okay, this is there. And okay, so coming back to, okay, let me ask you some JavaScript based questions. So what is higher order function?
Higher order function is basically, sir, it's a mediator type. We use as a, to implement the CSS. Whenever we have to change the theme, we not need to write the whole code many times. We will just pass that function through that HOC, and we will change the effect by minimizing the code.
Okay. And what is the callback method?
Callback method is basically it's used to take the features of the other function by calling that function through that caller function.
Can you give an example?
So, suppose there is a function that is giving the addition of a number, and we have to use another function that will square the function. If we call that addition of function inside that call function of square, it will just add those number and square those and give it a third type of function that we can use as a hybrid. That is called.
Can you give me callback example in context of array? In array where we are using callback functions or method?
Array.
In array we have different properties of methods inside array. Are we not using callback there? Try to remember. Are we not using callback in array.map?
Yes, sir. It's a map method to iterate. We call every element of that array. We will use for each also.
Okay. So let me share my screen here, just for a moment. So if I go to my screen, let me open a new file. Okay. So let's suppose you are talking about just 1 minute. Yeah, so you're talking about array. Okay, let's suppose I have an array where error1 equal to 5, 10, 7. Now, how can I use array method here? And sorry, how can I use map method here, and what is the use of that?
So map method is used to iterate the every element of that array, and it will give a return value. And
okay, let's suppose I want to double the values in this array. So how can I do that? Why should I write?
So we will just use the map method, and inside that element we will just multiply it by 2.
No.
Map.
I am asking simple question. I am saying array.map. Okay. Yes, map is a method. What is the parameter it expect in the map method?
It will take an event.
Event.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Like E, and after that arrow function, that E will be returned.
So how can we define the arrow function? Where we can define? Let's suppose I want to double this value. Okay.
Yes, sir.
How can I do? What is the syntax?
Sir, in array.map, curly brackets opens where we will write event.
Curly braces.
No, sir. Here we will write only event, event, or any name.
Okay.
And equal then arrow function.
Arrow function.
Then curly braces.
Okay.
And here we will write e multiplied by 2.
Okay. Return e multiplied by 2. Now my question is again. I'll repeat the question.
So,
What did you pass to the map method? What is this? What is this? What is this? What you're passing in to the map method?
sir, this is a callback.
This is callback. No, that is what I'm asking you. This is a callback function.
Yes, sir.
So don't say it is an event. It's a callback function which we pass to the map method. Okay, again I'll repeat the question. Can't is arrow function compulsory to use here, or what else we can use?
No need to use. If we replace the arrow, then also without writing return, we will give the output.
No, let's suppose I don't want to use arrow function. Then what is the option? I don't want to use as arrow method. Then what? How can I define the callback method? Is there any other syntax available apart from the arrow function?
Sir, we will use create another function.
How?
That
What?
before mapping, we will have to create a function that will multiply the value of array.
Well, can't we create that function inside this map method here itself?
Yes, sir.
Can't we write like this function?
Yes, sir.
Something like this. Now, what is missing here? Well, how to fix this thing? I want to see double as the outputs. I want to see 10, 20, and 14 as the output. Tell me what to do.
Sir, we will. I use all time arrow method. Then
okay.
we have to.
Okay. So you are not comfortable with this thing. Okay, no issues. Fine. So I think Sachin, I am good for today. Okay. Definitely there are a lot of questions which I can ask, but in one half an hour session I can't ask most. But yeah, overall I am able to take your mock interview, and I am understanding that you're lagging in many concepts. Definitely you need to like improve, and we'll connect offline later. Okay. But this video I'm going to share with the other people on YouTube so they can benefit that okay, what kind of question people expect in the interview, what is the students are answering, but you're answering many things, but you're not able to answer properly. Sometimes I'm saying that thing. Okay, so we have to be perfect in what I'm answering. We have to be in one line. We have to understand. Say, okay, this is the answer. So I'm saying you know many things, but you're not able to answer, or you're not able to recall many things. So overall, I will say definitely you need to improve a lot. Okay, that is definitely I can give you my feedback, and definitely we will help you because your course is already you are doing course from our institute, so from UDEV. So you're completing that course, and now you're going for the job interviews. So you're facing this problems. Definitely, we will help you out, and maybe you can expect in next 1 to 2 weeks. I will just to improve all this. No, whatever you have answered today, I can say at least we need 1 to 2 weeks to work with you to improve your basic concept, and again take your mock on offline also to see whether you're improving or not. Okay, definitely you'll improve. So I guess you need to just recall the things properly. You need to answer it. See, we don't have to know everything, Sachin. Even if you don't know Redux, even if you don't know context API is fine. But at least the basics things you should tell properly. So it throws a good impression to the interviewer. That okay, you know limited things, but you know, like you know the stuff, basic things properly. So don't try to learn everything. Instead of learning everything, you already have worked on Redux. We have also done project on Redux, but Redux is fine. It is an additional point. But focus on basic things like hooks, your JavaScript, and that is more than sufficient to clear the interviews because interview is looking for the basics. Advanced thing, Redux and all those things, definitely not every company is using it. So that is like a optional thing. But the main thing is JavaScript and React. The concept should be absolutely clear. That is one thing. And also you have to know about the plain JavaScript. How does it things work in plain JavaScript? Little bit of knowledge because that is also sometimes you have to use. Sometimes React is not able to do many things. and many libraries are not available in React. That is also the case. In that case, you have to import plain JavaScript library or files and use it with React. So that thing also you have to understand. So definitely we'll connect offline. But for now, I'm stopping this video. And thank you for this video, and definitely will help you. Anything you want to say about this thing, interview, before we stop the recording?
No, sir.
No? Okay. Thank you.